Thanks for tuning in to Dre Styles TV. I just want to piggyback on a video I did a little while ago regarding the Colin Kaepernick situation and the kneeling during the national anthem. The first thing I wanted to discuss was a position that former NFL quarterback Trent Dilfer took. He said that Colin Kaepernick should be quiet because he's a backup quarterback. Trent, last time I checked, you were a backup quarterback for many years in your career. You're the only quarterback in NFL history. Anybody could correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I believe you're the only quarterback in NFL history to get cut after being under center on a Super Bowl winning team. I don't think that's ever been done before. And in that game, you really weren't that great anyway. You completed 12 passes for 153 yards and a touchdown. Really what happened was you were on a team that had one of the most dominant defenses in NFL history. That's really what happened. So you were a backup quarterback for quite some time. Your career completion percentage is less than 60%. You threw more interceptions than touchdowns. Yet you're on TV every week. You actually have a job as an NFL analyst every single week. And you were a backup quarterback, yet you're saying that Colin Kaepernick shouldn't stand up for what he believes in because he's a backup right now? But it's okay for you to be on TV every week as an employee talking about the game of football as if you set the league on fire. That's okay for you to have an actual job every week. But Colin Kaepernick should be quiet because he's a backup quarterback. People may not like that I'm saying this, but you're not qualified to call out Colin Kaepernick regarding what he should or shouldn't be saying because of his position on the football field. You're not qualified to say that. All right? Also, the two aren't necessarily related. What he's doing is using his platform to speak out against certain injustices throughout different communities in this country. And because he's doing that, he's receiving backlash. Well, he shouldn't say anything because he makes millions of dollars. What does that have to do with the injustices in this country? All right, that's number one. And again, I think I touched on this before. That doesn't have anything to do with injustice, and it doesn't make you exempt. All right? Thabo Cephalosha, look it up. Plays professional basketball for the Atlanta Hawks. Had his leg broken by NYPD. He wasn't committing a crime. The tennis player, James Blake, I believe, was mistaken for a criminal. Right? Having money does not make you exempt from being targeted by certain police. All right. The other thing we need to put to bed is that means you're anti-police. No, it does not. No, it does not. Does not mean these guys are anti-police. They are anti-oppression. All right. Because there's only a handful of officers like this making the majority of police officers look bad. You're making your colleagues look bad. All right? You're making your co-workers look bad. All right. You're making the police officers who serve with professionalism, honor, and respect, you're making those cops look bad. That's what you're doing. All right. We're not anti-police. We're anti those specific officers who are carrying out these injustices. That's what Colin Kaepernick and guys who are following suit are talking about. Doesn't mean anybody's anti-police. That's not what that means. We need to get off of that. That's just an excuse to rain down on the people who are saying this isn't right. Because the people who are pretending like they don't know what the message is about, are either uneducated or racist, and there's probably nothing we can do about that small bunch. All right. You also have several celebrities who are using that platform to speak against Colin Kaepernick. All right. Kate Upton, Mike Ditka, Tony Stewart, Drew Brees, the list goes on and on. The problem with those individuals in particular is that you are speaking up against the actual act of standing up against injustice, yet when these injustices happen, you guys go completely dark. You guys go silent. Haven't heard anything from Kate Upton or Mike Ditka, Trent Dilfer, or any of the Drew Brees, Tony Stewart. I haven't heard anything about anything from any of them regarding guys being murdered, basically, unarmed in the streets. None of you are saying anything. But you'll stand up and go, oh, it's not right. It's disrespectful to the flag. I think, and everybody knows how raunchy Tony Stewart is. I think he went as far as to say something like, yeah, Colin Kaepernick, before he opens his dumbass mouth. Tony, I think that applies to you, my friend. Okay? If you're not educated on the injustices, which is primarily what Mike Ditka said himself, well, I don't see, these things happening. Okay, either you're blind, you're turning a willful blind eye, or you don't care. It's only one or the other. All right? These things are happening. They're in our faces. They're happening in different communities all over the country. Pleading ignorance to the issue either means that you don't, it basically means you don't care. Now, if you're not educated on specific things, then you should be quiet. I touched on this on another video regarding the national anthem. Take a moment and go research the entire national anthem, not just the good part that's been picked out for us to say in our schools or at events, at football games, basketball games, you name it. We pick out the really good part so it sounds really cool, like, we're supporting our military and we're showing our love for this country. No, the entire national anthem, because that is not the entire national anthem. It's not. It was just a part that was selected by, I guess, somebody, and we've all been repeating it ever since. Go look up the entire national anthem from start to finish. It's got nothing to do with any military. It's got nothing to do with our brave women who go overseas and risk their lives. It's got nothing to do with that. Neither does the American flag. And you don't have to hate where you live to stand up against injustice. Let's get off of that. Oh, if you don't like the country, get out. Knock it off. Easy for people to say who do not experience these injustices, these discriminations. It's easy for you to say that. That's why you're quiet. A lot of you are quiet when these things are happening. Oh, don't break the law. You know how long that list is of people that are dead, that weren't committing any crime, that didn't have any weapon? Those are the officers that people are using that platform to speak out against. Colin Kaepernick, Brandon Marshall, take your pick. That's what they're speaking out against. It's not anti-police. Right? Let me say it again. It is not about being anti-police. We're anti-police who commit these crimes. You are making your colleagues look bad. The majority of police officers across the United States are good guys, good ladies. There's just a handful of them who were hired to do this job who shouldn't have been hired. It's as simple as that. Okay? That's where we are as a nation. Of course, give or take the few who don't care, who are uneducated, who are just persistent racist, whatever. We're not talking about those. We're talking about our nation as a whole. I'm generalizing here. Again, we have plenty of celebrities who are using their platform to go, oh, you shouldn't disrespect the flag. I think Kate Upton was specific regarding 9/11. You shouldn't do this on 9/11 of all days. And again, that's free speech. I don't necessarily agree with speaking out on these issues when you really can't relate to them, but it's free speech. What I don't respect is that when these injustices throughout our country continue to happen, and then that's when you decide to stay quiet when you've already injected yourself into the conversation, going public, tweeting, Instagram, whatever. I believe Kate Upton, I believe her response to the kneeling or the sitting during the national anthem, as far as 9/11, I believe that was Instagram or Twitter. I'm not sure. I believe Drew Brees did an interview, if I'm not mistaken, but they were vocal about the national anthem and disrespecting the flag, etc., etc. I implore you, Tony Stewart, I implore you to go research these things and what they actually mean, the history behind them. Not just the anthem you were repeating since you've been in elementary school when you had to stand up in class and put your hand over your chest. I'm not talking about that, because that's all we know. All right? And it's okay to not know. All right? The problem is when you don't go and find out. When the information is available, there's no excuse for not knowing. And we have too many uneducated opinions just going around, and people just taking to social media, and you're doing interviews. And this is why I brought up the Tony Stewart thing, saying opening your dumb ass mouth. You don't seem to understand the history behind this. Now, if you research it and you find the truth and you still decide, well, I don't really care because I'm racist or whatever, fine. But research it, because you guys taking stances out there, not just celebrities. I use those four as examples because of what people are saying about Colin Kaepernick and the money that he's made in the NFL, etc., etc. So I use Drew Brees, Kate Upton, Mike Dicker, Tony Stewart as examples, basically talking about this injustice thing. But it's regular citizens saying the same thing. And if you cannot relate to any of this, then you really shouldn't be voicing an opinion, because it is an uneducated opinion if you aren't knowledgeable on the subject. If you're not asking questions, if you're not doing research, if you're not going to dig into the matter, and all you ever have to say is don't break the law, you keep saying that, but then if you look down the list of a majority, all right, of these people who have been killed, they weren't committing crimes. So we've got to get off of this, well, don't break the law, because evidently it's not that simple. Obviously, it depends on the cop you get. Okay? You're talking about police officers who basically have a small arsenal at their disposal. A gun, a taser, not pepper spray, but mace, which is not generally not approved for citizens. Mace and pepper spray are two different things. Let me just clarify that. And a baton or whatever. And you get the cop where the first instinct is to just pull out a gun. All right. You got guys getting shot with their hands up. Don't tell me don't break. Don't tell me it's that black and white. It's not. All right. You got guys who put their hands up in the air and still get shot. All right. And for the people who are defending these things, let me take it a step further. The cops who are responsible for doing this know they are wrong. You know how I know? Because they lie about what happened after the fact. False police reports. Turning off body cameras. All right? Trying to get stories straight amongst themselves. Planting evidence. Don't tell me, all right, don't break the law, and it's that simple, and you're siding with the officers who do this, because they themselves know that they are wrong, and they're scrambling to save their own hide after they gun somebody down that didn't deserve that. There's a lot of lying, there's a lot of covering up, etc., etc. Even if you can use any example you want. You look at the Tulsa situation. You had a cop go and do an interview not long after that and say he was reaching. He got shot because he was reaching in his car. And then the camera clearly shows that the window was rolled up. Don't tell me that it's about the officers. It's just like anything else. If you walk into McDonald's and you get an employee who's got an attitude while he or she is taking your order, you're going to go, this person shouldn't be working here. It's the same thing with a police officer or anything else. You got your bad apples and you got the employees who represent the brand or the company in a respectful manner. It's just like anything else. The problem is when it's a police officer, the repercussions are damning. You're talking about take your life, take your freedom. It's just, but it's just like anything else. All right. What we've got to do is we've got to weed out the bad apples. If these police officers worked at Burger King and they didn't, they weren't up to par, they'd be fired. It's as simple as that. We've got to figure out a way to weed out the bad apples. And if you ask me, it's got to be before they hit the streets. Maybe reevaluate the psych exam. I know getting hired in most police departments requires a psych exam. Maybe we need to reevaluate that. Because you're putting people on the street who have to make a decision as to whether or not to take somebody's life. Take somebody's father, take somebody's mother, take somebody's son, take somebody's daughter. And you got police officers on the street who really are, it doesn't mean anything to them depending on who you are. And it's not black and white. It's not just about don't break the law. It's not. Do not tell me that depending on the cop you get could be the difference between life or death, whether you're doing something wrong or not, depending on who you are. And depending on who the cop is, there are other variables here. It's not just don't break the law and you're going to go home. That is not the case. The man who got killed in Tulsa was coming from classes and his car broke down in the middle of the street. He wasn't committing a crime. We got to get it together. And we have to do it together. Those who mind don't matter. And those who matter don't mind. Peace.